Welcome to episode 392 of the Postal Hub podcast. I'm Ian Kerr. I'm joined shortly by Khazalin Ghuzal. She's the Chief Retail Officer at Pos Malaysia. We're going to talk about everything to do with post offices in Malaysia. This is a really interesting discussion which was recorded live at the 6th International Postal Retail Benchmarking Workshop, which was held in Ljubljana in Slovenia late last year. So, well, let's get straight into it, shall we? Lynn Ghuzal, Chief Retail Officer at Pos Malaysia. I'm joined here by Khazalin Ghuzal, who's the Chief Retail Officer at Pos Malaysia. Lynn, it's great to have you here in the hot seat, so to speak. Let's start with a bit of an overview of the Pos Malaysia retail network. It's not that you've got one flavour of post office. You've got a few different flavours of post office. Can you share with us how the post office network is, what it consists of?
Thanks for having me here, Ian. In Malaysia, Pos Malaysia, we have the widest retail network. So we have a mixture of owned and third-party operate models or outlets. So we have more than 1,000. So that's the minimum touch point that we have to maintain as part of the universal service obligation postal operator provider. So we have about 600-ish owned outlets, and we have smaller formats in the form of a post mini. So it's a mini post office with limited services, and these are outlets run by third-party operators or licensees. We also have post agents. So these are PUDO partners, and they help us to do pickup and returns for parcels. They're also parcel aggregators. We also have post on wheels at rural areas where it's very far for them to go to a post office. So these are vans that move around at different locations. So the ones that we own are full-fledged. And then we have the post mini, which is with limited services. With the wheels, it's also limited. And then parcel aggregators, which are PUDO. So that's in summary.
Those post offices on wheels, do they have any technology in the back of the vans, or is it just somebody going out there and selling a stamp and picking up a parcel? How does it work?
So the ones on the wheels, you've got one or two individuals, so the driver and the one at the counter. So they open up the window of the van, and it turns to be a counter, and at the counter, people can come in queue and buy stamps, drop their mail, drop their parcel, renew their licenses, pay their bills. So, yeah, except for regulated services where there is a need to handle cash, for example, remittance or banking, they don't do that.
Tell us a bit about the obligations that you have as a postal operator, though, the size of the network and the spread of the network. You mentioned earlier that the number. Do you have a geographic obligation as well? Because Malaysia's deceptively big, isn't it?
Yeah, so yes, as the national postal operator, we have a universal service obligation to offer convenient access at cities, towns, and rural areas, postal services, and then the requirement is a minimum of 1,000 touch points. But the requirement doesn't dictate whether we need to own it or it can be agent run. But in terms of proximity, it would have to be within 5 kilometers in rural areas, and in urban areas it would be about within 10 kilometers. So that's the legal requirement for us.
I know that on the delivery side of things, you're operating in a very, very competitive environment in Pos Malaysia, and we all know what's happening in post offices, that post offices around the world are under pressure, the retail side of things. And you've done something interesting in Malaysia recently, which is the Pos Shops, and that format and the convenience stores and those sorts of things. Can you just share a little bit about how that model works and maybe some of the learnings that you've had so far from operating this model?
So like any other postal operators in the world, we're being disrupted there. So we've got a lot of challenges, and the biggest challenge for us is the decline in footfall. We do a lot of tests to try different things, and Pos Shop is actually a very interesting innovation that we tested about a year and a half ago, which is an attempt to monetize the unutilized space within our post offices. So we have a lot of empty spaces, about close to 3 million, and with our vast real estate and unique locations, we thought maybe, let's test out a new business model. And we test out a convenience business. So that is an attempt to not just monetize the space, but also to bring back footfall and also to revive the brand to make it a bit more attractive to customers. So a year and a half later, we have 50 outlets. Yes, it has helped to drive footfall generally, but there are hits and misses. At certain locations, it's working well. At some locations, it's not. So we're still learning. We're still fine-tuning. I think what the biggest learning is location is key. So I think like any other post offices, we are set back away from the street. And that's not a behavior for convenience customers. They just want to park and then, walk less than 10 steps and get something. To drive into a post office, park, and then go in and climb stairs, that's not a behavior they're looking for. So I think these are the key learnings. And apart from that, we're still trying to drive revenue, refining the inventory, fixing the operations efficiencies, improving supply chain especially. And so we're taking a pause. At the moment, we're not opening anymore. Once we get better with the financial model, then maybe we'll look into expanding it.
Just recently, CEO Charles Brewer announced a transformation. He's piloting a few things in delivery in different parts of the network. And one of the things that was mentioned was retail, the post office network. And there's a small pilot program going on involving corporates and PUDOs and things like that. Can you just describe for us, please, what that pilot is?
Like any other postal operators. So we are facing structural challenges, and that's not just mail, it cuts across parcel and also retail. And like the tests, like any other tests that we've done, we are trialing a new business model, a new network. So we are going through a proof of concept that we're about to start in November, where we're testing at 8 locations. We've identified PUDO agents who will take over our services from the 8 post offices away from us. So at these 13 locations, customers will get to use our mail, parcel, and retail services, and they would need to replicate the same customer experience, service standards that we offer at the post offices. And we're going to test this out for 3 months. So we will guide them. We will teach them how to sell. We'll give them the tools and the systems. And if they successfully offer these services to our customers, then we would likely shut the post offices, the 8 locations. So that's a strategy that we're looking at to transition from own to third-party operate network.
So have you partnered with specific retailers for this, or have you chosen just 13 local retail businesses for these PUDO locations?
Yeah, so the 8 locations are areas, so we have a combination of location profiles. So a mixture of urban, rural, a mixture of high density, low density, a bit of a mixture of customer age group, and the complexity of the needs there, okay? So that we have a variation, understand which works and which may not work. And when we mapped out these 8 locations with the PUDO agents nearby, we noticed there are actually more than one in each location. So 8, then we've got 13. So that would mean that the customers would have more option. So, and the 13 agents are located less than 5 kilometers from the post office. So we try to make it accessible still. And these locations will also place machines, so kiosks, to manage queues, because we know that these agents, they have a lot of traffic, because it's a parcel aggregator, so a lot of customers go and pick up the parcel or do returns. So we know that they will have an influx of customers there. So to manage that, we will place a machine and teach them how to manage the queue. So the low-value transaction, we're teaching them to get the customers to use the machine. And then for mail and parcel-related transactions, they can do it at the counter. And so we're looking forward for that to go live very soon.
What about from the customer's perspective then? Will the customers be able to do all the usual transactions, all the usual post office transactions at these PUDO partner outlets?
Most of the transactions will be maintained, mail, parcel, and most of the retail services, except for regulated services. So we have third-party services which it's cash-related, like remittance and shared banking. So we have a shared network with the largest bank in Malaysia, and road tax renewal. So these 3 services won't be offered. But these 3 services are available online, so customers have an option to do it online instead.
And you mentioned that there'll be a hybrid offering, there'll be a self-service offering. Will that be in all of those 13 outlets?
Yeah, so all 13 will have a kiosk, at least one kiosk.
And we want to know about parcel delivery then and things like parcel lockers. Is parcel lockers part of this mix, or are you looking at over-the-counter parcel services for the time being?
Yeah, still over-the-counter parcel lockers, over-the-counter parcel services.
And as we mentioned earlier on, there's a lot of competition in parcels in Malaysia at the moment. Is this physical network important for Pos Malaysia when it comes to being competitive and offering a customer-centric service?
Yes, it's still relevant to have physical touch points, especially now with e-commerce players. They're looking for partners to expand their touch points for parcel pickup and returns. So, for example, we're working with Shopee, which is an e-commerce player, where we offer our touch points to them, and that is good to us, because that would help to bring back the footfall. And with that footfall, we're able to monetize it with high-value services or high-margin services that we have. So we're making an effort to cross-sell other products to the customers that are there to pick up their parcel. In terms of an omnichannel experience, we've embarked on digital platforms. So about 2 years ago, we migrated our insurance services online, and that is a retention tool that helps us to retain high-risk customers that are likely going to do the same transactions online. And also, we're looking at acquiring new customers through online platform. So we're just future-proofing our business. As many services that we could availed it online, we would do. So we are progressively adding more and more services online, and that eventually, hopefully we could have a platform that is equivalent to a super app where customers can track and trace, can buy stamps online, and have them delivered and do all sorts of transactions there.
Sounds like there's lots of creative thinking and lots of innovation happening in the Pos Malaysia network. Lynn, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome, Ian. Thanks for having me.
Coming soon on the Postal Hub podcast, we've got Julia Lockman from Omnic, and Julia's going to share some insights and perspectives on setting up a parcel locker system and some of the key things that you need for success in parcel locker networks. A really, really interesting discussion. Who else is coming up soon? Of course, we've got Peter Summers and Alan Barry, and there'll be many other great speakers coming up soon on great speakers, great interviewees, great guests coming up on the Postal Hub podcast in the next few weeks. Don't miss any of these episodes. Subscribe to the Postal Hub podcast in your favourite podcast platform. Leave a rating, give a review. That'd be great. Please do that. And if you're over on LinkedIn and you want to have a bit of a break from all the self-congratulatory rubbish, then you can follow me, because there's absolutely zero self-congratulatory rubbish or AI-generated slop if you want to follow me on LinkedIn. Well, you know my name, Ian Kerr, so just look for me on LinkedIn. What else? If you want to email me, my email address is ian@thepostalhub.com. I'm Ian Kerr. Thanks for listening in, and I look forward to your company next time on the Postal Hub podcast.